Hey everyone, Jesse Collins here. Today I'm going to share with you some local market data here in Santa Cruz and some data in the markets in the US in general that really lead me to believe that not only are we returning to normalcy in the market, which is a great sign, and I'm going to go out on a limb here, I think the market here in Santa Cruz and in the United States in general, the markets are going to outperform everyone's expectations this year. So stay tuned, you won't want to miss this. The first thing I want to talk about is the market action index. So that is the ratio of homes on the market of inventory to how quickly it's being sold. That gives you an idea of how hot the market is. You know, if you put your home in the market, what are the chances that's going to go into contract and be sold? So the market action index in the peak of the market in many areas, that was around 80, give or take. Right now we're looking at 40, 50 in most areas, but since September, that's been dropping down on a weekly basis. This is something I track every week because I include it in my newsletter. I look at this data every week, and every week until recently, it's been dropping. But over the last week, we saw that and I'm tracking 10 major areas in Santa Cruz. That would be 95060, 95062. That would be Capitola, Soquel, Ben Lomond, Boulder Creek, Felton, Watsonville, and Scotts Valley. Maybe I'm missing a few there, and all those areas, they either stayed flat or they increased. The only place that went down is Boulder Creek, and they're dealing with some stuff right now, some flooding, landslides. You know, it's a little rough right now. So with Highway 9 being closed, I can say it's fair to assume buying activity right there is taking a big hit. But in all the other areas of Santa Cruz County, we've either seen it flat week over week or increasing. So in Watsonville, it increased. In Scotts Valley, it increased. In Soquel, it increased. And even in Capitola, we saw the market action index jump. So I think now we've turned the corner on that. I think week after week, and this is a prediction, I might be wrong, but I feel like weekly now we're going to start seeing that market action index ticking up. And as inventory of homes in Santa Cruz County is very low, I think prices are going to increase too, because as buying activity increases and inventory decreases, the price, it's going to go up. So one of the leading indicators for market health here in the United States is the median sale price. Now that typically follows a very predictable pattern. As the supply of homes for sale hits its zenith in July, August, that median sale price metric starts to tick down. Then through the holidays, as people withdraw their homes, buyers aren't looking as much because holidays, etc. That basically bottoms out in the end of December. And typically, like clockwork on a normal year, the second week of January, it ticks back up. Now that has happened every year leading up to 2020. Now in 2020, 2021, and half of 2022, we saw that kind of go out the window because buyer activity wasn't anything we could predict. And actually it was a very kind of a black swan event. What happened with COVID and interest rates and all that kind of came together to make this crazy market, the likes of which we've never seen before. So when median sale prices started to tick up again this year, the second week of January, like clockwork, it was a huge sigh of relief. If it hadn't, that would have been a very bearish sign. But we saw the median US sale price in the United States before the second week of January was $405,000. Now, it only took a small increase up to $405,200, but that increase was a trend reversal. So that line had been going down since July. We saw it now start to tick up for the first time, the second week of January. That is a very good sign. Also, the median list price ticked up as well. And it's kind of hard to understand why that happened. I think people who had been waiting to list their home for this year started to get their homes on the market. I think maybe the listings that had been tired, had already been seen, had been withdrawn, canceled off the market. They're kind of going through their market reset stages right now. So right now we're actually starting to see new inventory that hasn't seen the market yet. And that's starting to excite some buyers. So I think that's why the median list price is ticking up as well, because those better homes are starting to come on the market now. But overall, really healthy sign for the market in the United States. So what does that mean for Santa Cruz? Well, Santa Cruz typically is 2 weeks earlier than the rest of the market. So I went back and looked in the market data, and sure enough, at the very end of December, we saw the median sale price start to tick up again, which goes right in line with everything we're saying. And I think that is proof. And that's actually pretty legitimate proof that we're heading back into a normal market. And so what is a normal market, you might say? A normal market is a market that has more inventory on the market for buyers, but it still sees a seasonal increase in sales price that peaks around July, August, and then that starts to decline all the way to December. And then after December, it starts to tick up again, and that kind of makes a predictable stair-step pattern, generally in the upward direction. That would be a normal market here in Santa Cruz, and I think that's what we're looking at right now. Home buying demand is picking up. Redfin has a metric that they call the Home Buyer Demand Index. They're reporting across their platform, their affiliated agents, a 6% increase in home buying activity over last month. You might be thinking that's not a whole lot, but think you have Zillow, you have Trulia, you have all these others that are also seeing a similar uptick. And I think as we progress further into the home buying season, those stats are just going to increase. I just got off the phone with my lender, Ryan Buckhold, and he's saying he's seeing a big increase in home buyer activity, mortgage applications, and he says 48% of the applications he's getting are first-time home buyers. And I think that falls right in line with some of the stats I've talked about in other videos, where 37% of all home buyers 2 years ago were millennials, 43% of them 1 year ago were millennials. And I think we're going to see that statistic, that demographic, continue to increase. And keep in mind, in 8 to 10 years, we have Gen Zs hitting their home buying years in force, and home buying activity isn't going anywhere anytime soon. In fact, Google just reported a 50% increase in the search words homes for sale over November of last year, and only a 17% decline from this time last year. So the home buying activity is still there. It's just interest rates now are just doing what they can to suppress it, but it won't stay that way for long, especially if interest rates continue to drop. Also, the news we're seeing in regards to inflation is very promising. The Consumer Price Index report for December just released January 12th, and in there we can see that inflation has now declined for 6 months in a row. And if you're looking at the past 3 months of core inflation, that has only increased at a 3.1% annualized rate. The Fed's targeted rate for that is 2.5%, so we're not too far off there. That's really good news. And also, looking at the cost of goods and services, that's been in the decline for 3 months now, which officially makes it a trend. And oftentimes, that can be the hardest to get under control without using some painful economic developments. So that's really good news for the housing market and the economy in general. That leads me to mortgage news. So it looks like mortgage applications are increasing now. While they are down from the peak of the market back in 2022, 2021, they're seeing them rise week over week. So the week of ending of January 6th saw a 1.2% rise over the previous week. And I do think that will continue to increase, especially as we see rates drop, because the week of January 12th saw a 15 basis point drop from the week before. And as these monthly CPI reports continue to show positive news on inflation, I think mortgage rates will continue to tick down. And I think right now it's not quite there yet. Interest rates are still in the 6s, right? And we still have buyers that their purchasing power has been impacted by interest rates, of course. But I think as interest rates start to decline, continuing to decline, and buyers' purchasing power starts to increase, at that intersection, right, of purchasing power and declining interest rates, wherever that is this year, I think that's when we're going to see that market really take off in a noticeable way. My predictions, I'm thinking that the back end of February, between the back half of February, March, April, I think those are going to be the hottest times right now to sell a house if you're a home seller. So I have 2 listings coming on the market, and I'm aiming kind of for that time frame. I have one that might be a little bit before then, but I'm really shooting for that time frame. If you guys have a home you're trying to sell, maybe it's been on the market before last year, maybe you haven't even started to think about it, but you're like, I might want to sell in 2023. I think right now is the time to start thinking about getting your home prepped for the market. So if you have any questions, my contact information is in the details below. Don't hesitate to give me a call, shoot me a text message, shoot me an email. We'd love to talk with you. Even if you have another agent you're working with, I don't mind sharing my insights on the market. And if you need a good agent, would love to help you. So stay in touch. You got my contact info. And please subscribe and like if you got value from this video. And stay tuned, because I'll have more of these coming out as we go. And until next time, stay awesome.